So hello everyone. Thank you for being with us today.
Yep.
We are thrilled to have you here for an insightful discussion on zkSync, the Airdrop and Beyond. Today we have wonderful guests with us. So we have, of course, Brian, our CTO from Fringe Finance. Also, we have Lucas from zkSwap. And we are waiting just a little bit for Nick from Symbiosis. But I think we can start with Brian and Lucas with the introductions. So please, let's start with Lucas. Tell a little bit what you do at zkSwap and what is zkSwap and what your protocol brings to zkSync.
Sure. Yeah, greetings everyone. I'm Lucas, PD at zkSwap Finance. As you're all aware, we're the top three DEX on zkSync right now. So we're the first swap turn DEX on zkSync era. So as a role PD at zkSwap Finance, I mainly focus on building strategic partnerships, driving user adoptions, and expanding our platform presence in within the zkSync era ecosystem. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lucas. Brian, can you explain a little bit about Fringe for our listeners?
Yes, I will. And I'll just make a comment, Lucas, there on zkSwap. It looks like a really neat user interface and all of the facilities for providing liquidity, for swapping, for staking and seeking yield and so forth are all there and really well presented. And it looks like um, a neat UX there. So yeah, it looks like a joy to use. So that's really good to see. So Fringe Finance, we are fundamentally a margin trading and lending platform. And what differentiates us is we operate currently on 5 separate chains, one of them, of course, being zkSync. And we have support for quite a large number of assets, and that will be set to grow. And those assets include not only the large cap assets, but a whole host of exotic assets. And very shortly, in audit at the moment, as our support for LP tokens as collateral and capital assets, and also for ERC 4626 yield bearing assets. I don't believe any of those are currently listed on or operating on zkSync, but I'm sure that will change over time. So one of our real differentiators is that very broad support for assets. And I think in some of the questions that you have teed up later in this chat, Tiago or James, is items that we'll talk to in relation to that. We've got some really good engineering that allow us to be able to support those long tail assets. And again, we might touch upon those later as we delve into it. But on the face of it, again, it is very much a margin trading and lending platform. So we have a whole host of facilities around that. And we see these being quite symbiotic and complementary to dexes and bridges. And we'll talk again more about that as we go, as we talk more deeply into this. There you go.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Nick, if you are on the call, please send us a request to speak because I'm not seeing you right now. And if you join later, we'll have you explaining a little bit about your protocol. But let's move. So our first question, we want to talk about the protocol and technology about around zkSync. So this is a little bit technical question, but I want to check with you guys what are the merits of truthless zk proofs employed by zkSync versus the optimistic models used by the other L2 chains. Now we are talking about finality and trustlessness. So, for example, which one is faster? Which one is more decentralized? Brian, can you start this one, please?
Yeah, okay. Well, ZK, it's built into the name there with zkSync. So validation proofs on zkSync, they're not, though they may not really be zero knowledge in that there is no privacy matters that pertain to those value transfers back to the L1. It could be said, it's a great marketing presentation of the finality proofs for zkSync. And I think that is a real key differentiator between zkSync and other two L2 optimistic models, where those L2 optimistic models employ fraud proof delays and the palaver that is associated with that in place of instant validity proofs. So that's one of the key things with zkSync in terms of finality. And Vitalik, for example, has stated, I'm not sure quite when he said this, but he said that L2 and ZK and instant finality will eventually win over optimistic models. And we hold that view also. But I think there are other factors that come into play that may influence the adoption of any given L2. But really, there some of the points that I think come into play here.
Thank you, Brian. And Lucas, do you have a specific view on this? For example, why did you guys decided to build on zkSync and not on a different L2?
Yeah. So you're mentioning 2 points that is also on our list when we actually begin zk Swap Finance. So regarding about finality, yeah, the trustless that zkSync, the zk proofs, yeah, that it offer instant finality. So it actually it offer instant finality by using cryptographic proofs. So uh, it have validate transactions, right? Like I would say immediately. So the speed is very important. Is one of our criteria. So this eliminates the waiting period seen in we can see it in optimistic rollups. So such as those who use by Arbitrums as one of the examples. So which require fraud proof period. Yeah. So as a result, the transactions are overall on zkSync are in general are confirmed to be faster and more efficiently in our experience. Well, in terms of trustlessness, and ZK proofs enhance securities by ensuring that all transactions are verifiably correct without relying on external validators. So another example we see, yeah, optimistic rollup. So in other hand, while optimistic rollup depends on validators, to challenge fraudulent transactions. So to introducing a layer of trust, but overall, zkSync's approach in this case, in my opinion, would provide a more secure and trustless environment, though.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you, Lucas.
yeah, I think that notion of trustless environments is something quite important, and that I think will become more and more important over time as different attack vectors are exploited by particularly centralized actors and state-based authorities against some of these chains. So it's a really good position to be in, to be operating on these chains where there's just less attack surface for censoring transactions. So yeah, that's a really good point there, Lucas.
Nice, wonderful. And in the recent months, we are seeing a lot of new L2s coming to the space. I wanted to check with you guys if you have what is your long-term view of the probably the likely outcome of the current proliferation of chains. Do you think that there is room for everybody? What's your thoughts about that? Lucas, can you start this one?
Yep, sure. Well, uh, in the policy swap finance, we believe in the long term. Well, I think we'll see a market naturally consolidate. So while many chains are kind of emerging pretty fast right now, I believe only those that could provide superior security, scalability, and of course user experience will thrive. Yeah. So another notable point would be the interoperability. Yep, that's a long word. Yeah, it will be really very crucial to, in my opinions. That will be enabling different chains to collaborate and offer seamless user experience. But ultimately, we're likely to see a few dominant chains that will specialize in some specific areas, but supported by an interoperable ecosystem as well. So they will actually cater to a wide range of needs and use cases. So yeah, it's I pretty positive about the outcome of the proliferation of chains. So this will create a more efficient and user-friendly blockchain landscape overall. Yeah.
That's a really interesting point that you raised there, Lucas, about integration between various chains, because I think that is one of the key factors that may drive the either consolidation or otherwise of this proliferation of L2s. For example, the current state of the market reflects that there are quite a number of L2s. But if we look at the TVL on those L2s, there's certainly a Pareto distribution of the TVL on those chains. So though there is a proliferation of L2s, it's not currently occurring in a meaningful sense, given that TVL distribution. And that key point that you raised there, I think, Lucas, comes into play where if there are developments in interchain value transfer and interchain contract communications, then the current proliferation of chains is sustainable. Those chains can exist, and because they can interoperate, then they can be viable in and of themselves because they are operating, if you like, more seamlessly in a greater ecosystem. However, if there is not those developments of interchain value transfer and contract communications, then there will probably be a tendency to consolidate to chains with factors that promote adoption. And that's a bit of a hand waving statement in terms of factors that promote adoption, but that will typically include utility, which is availability of protocols, and TVL, availability of liquidity and variety of assets on that chain. I mean, I think that is a key question for the zkSync ecosystem, and now that it is being run by the community, which are what are the primary bottlenecks and challenges holding back future growth of the ZK ecosystem, or the zkSync ecosystem specifically, and how can these be addressed by the ZK Foundation and DAO and by the projects in that ecosystem? So that's I think that's a general and open question, and with even our participation in the DAO, we will be really closely looking at that and encouraging the community to look at that to identify the real opportunities for differentiating zkSync from other chains. I don't know if you've got thoughts on that, Lucas. Be interested, but that's my 2 bobs worth.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And you touch a point that it is interesting, and I wanted to check Lucas' opinion on that, and also yours, of course. With this plethora of new L2s, in which ways zkSync is different from the other chains, and how can it shows that let's say it has that's something that is the differentiator between the other chains and could make zkSync shine between all these other L2s. Lucas, do you have an idea of what it is the
Yeah.
principal aspects of it?
Yeah, because previously we were quite positive with the with what zkSync offer. So as the team that developed our projects on zkSync era, we found that it actually offers pretty cheap, super cheap fees if not wrong. So also faster transaction fees and some privacy benefits due to zk rollup technology. Um, so overall, there are 3 points: that security, speed, and gas fee. Yeah, that's what we're quite interested in at first. So although we find it currently involved in some complex groups that has limited smart contract compatibility and is somewhat centralized. Yeah. On the other hand, we for L2, we say take optimistic rollup. For example, it provides simpler technology, wider compatibility, and and it's already decentralized. But but at a cost that higher fees, slower speed, and less privacy. So what we can highlight for zkSync era is it enhanced securities by inheriting Ethereum security through zero knowledge proof. So all transactions are validated on Ethereum mainnet. Then overall, it offers significantly faster transaction speed, and by processing the transaction upstream, and for gas fee, yeah, it substantially reduces the gas fee.
Okay, Lucas, thank you very much. Brian, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, probably not so much in addition to what I mentioned before, which is the community really does want to identify the differentiators that either exist now or can be established that will allow zkSync to really reach or achieve its product market fit and accelerate adoption. There, some of those are open questions. Certainly, all of the things that Lucas mentioned are very valid in respect of faster transactions, lower transaction fees, and a degree of trustlessness and so forth. Um, uh, and for each of those dimensions, there's really a continuum of a continuum. It's not necessarily a binary function, where a lot of other L2 chains do exhibit some of those benefits at slightly different points on the continuum for each of those dimensions. So uh, in and of itself, those dimensions are potentially certainly necessary, but not necessarily sufficient to achieve real distinction in the L2 market. So again, that comes back to that challenge for the zkSync ecosystem to really further refine and then deliver upon the distinguishing features that can uh, best assure greater adoption, distinguishing features and unique value proposition. So I think there's a little bit of open a discussion and consideration that needs to be further put into that. That's my thoughts.
Thank you, Brian. And of course, we are builders on zkSync. We believe on the chain. And now I wanted to focus a little bit on the upcoming airdrop that it is coming. Some would say finally. And we know that airdrops help to increase the all the transactions on the chain to brings more users. And I want to have an insight first from you, Lucas, and after from Brian. In what ways do you think that airdrops benefits the ecosystem as a whole?
Yeah, we are pretty mixed when talking about airdrops. So the main role of airdrop, as we all know, is encouraging participation and investment in the projects and the network, right? But of course, one must approach this method with caution. So the key in our experience when we did our airdrop is the key is to have a clear and transparent terms and having all the criteria available. So we can take, for example, Starknet's airdrop. Yeah, for example, if I'm not wrong, it comes with incorrect criteria. Yeah, so the result was as we all know that it almost kills Starknet itself. Yeah, but on the other hand, we can clearly see a benefit of airdrop from the case of arbitrums and optimism. Yeah, they airdrop with fairness in mind. They offer grand rewards to the loyal projects in the ecosystem that have made their change successful. So this broader approach might foster a more sustainable user base for the ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree there, Lucas. Um, uh, in my view, there's probably four key things that airdrops really offer, and some of these intersect. I mean, the first one is promotes interest in the ecosystem, which hopefully translates to stickiness and ongoing adoption, and it delivers funds to users so that they can then participate in the ecosystem. So their interest will intersect with the fact that they have funds so they can participate. And also, from or it gives users greater visibility of other protocols in that ecosystem. So it allows them or, promotes participation and investment in those other projects. So they ultimately benefit the individual projects and the overall ecosystem. And one of the other ones is greater participation of individuals in the ongoing governance and input into the direction to evolve the ecosystem. And that's crucial. And it ties back to some of the points that I mentioned before about that's based on the premise that having a larger community will tend to have more individuals with the capacity and the capability to provide good direction for the ecosystem. So it's kind of like a world with greater number of individuals means we'll, on average, have more Einsteins, and therefore we'll have, on average, greater inventiveness and innovation from that greater ecosystem. So that's those four are the typical benefits I see for airdrops. And I think here, right at this time, for zkSync, it's quite good because there are protocols which are now established and or establishing themselves in the ecosystem. There is a good level of adoption, and there's certainly room for improvement. And there is certainly this move now from project-driven to community-driven governance model for zkSync. And all of these, I think, tie very neatly together with the notion of the airdrop. And hopefully that this really translates into establishing good ongoing momentum, establishing a good unique value proposition for the platform and for the ecosystem moving forward. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Lucas. And Lucas, you mentioned that your protocol had an airdrop. I have a following question. It is still running. Do you guys have any programs on your protocol that with the goal to promote the adoption on zkSync? Do you have anything right now, running right now?
Yeah, about the upcoming programs that we are undertaking to promote the adoptions on zkSync. So this for we have two points, two programs that we will highlight. So first is stable swap, to enhance stablecoin trading efficiencies uh, an automatic launchpad system to facilitate new project launch, of course automatically. So for stable swap, this will provide user with a secure and efficient platform for trading stablecoins. So as we all know, the stablecoins is they are very important and demanding assets across the whole DeFi ecosystem. So they all can uh, doing transactions with stablecoins on directly on zkSwap Finance and on zkSync. So the development of stable swap will help promote the fast transaction speeds and significantly lower gas fee of zkSync, to promote a more adoption to the chains. For automatic launchpad system, not only users, so we also aim at potential projects. So the integrations will empower early stage DeFi projects to easily launch on zkSync. So we're not drawing users but also projects into zkSync as well. So we're building and expect to deliver the most simple and seamless experience. So the experience of fast, cheap, and simple to use directly on zkSwap Finance on zkSync for all users and projects.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lucas. And Brian, do you want to share some words about our incentive program?
Yes, of course. There, Tiago. Fringe currently has a lender incentive program underway. So lenders will be incentivized and we provide extra rewards for lenders. And currently interest rates are very favorable for borrowers and margin traders on our platform. So that is a program we currently have underway. Tiago, should I mention some of the other things that we've just got coming up with Fringe that I think generally fall under the remit of the question about what is Fringe doing to help promote adoption in the zkSync ecosystem?
Yep.
Okay, I'll go ahead anyway. Okay,
Yes,
so
please go ahead.
sure. Okay, Fringe, we currently list on zkSync. I'll mention we currently list about 80 odd assets across the 5 chains, and we're looking to list potentially 150, 160, 200 plus assets, including these other exotic assets that I mentioned. Now, on zkSync, there's less range of assets, but we believe it is the greatest set of assets listed on any other competing lending and margin trade platforms on zkSync. We currently list 8 assets there, including, ETH and its derivatives and a number of stable coins and Cake and MAV and a wrap BTC. So there is quite a set of opportunities to borrow or to exercise fairly advanced financial strategies using those instruments, including on our margin trading platform. And Fringe is monitoring the liquidity and price feed availability on the zkSync ecosystem and will continue to list further assets as it becomes possible. And Fringe is able to support more assets because something I mentioned earlier in this chat was we've got a set of advanced price handling mechanisms, and we describe this in our docs, and it's quite unique, we believe, that other lending and trading platforms or margin trading platforms lack. So we think these are quite key differentiators between Fringe and other competing platforms. And something very interesting is because we list because we support a far wider range of assets, which will also include LP token support in Q3, but we also uniquely support use cases for LP token holders to hedge their positions against various forms of impermanent loss. And we're just about to publish a range of user guides that will describe how to achieve these. So this will be really good for liquidity providers on zkSwap because it gives them opportunities to minimize loss and to take more nuanced positions with their assets. We'll be able, and with our support for LP tokens, as I mentioned in early Q3, we'll be able to offer yet a further list of use cases for LP token holders where they can further hedge various components of their LP positions and also amplify the current holdings of their LP assets. So these represent an additional set of utilities for that user base. And we think it's a really interesting thing. And we would certainly encourage people to begin to look at our offering in that space and open up discussion on our social media channels if people have questions. But we will be releasing quite a bit of material in that space in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Brian. And you touch the next question that now I will make for Lucas. Lucas, can you share the plans that you guys have for the second half of 2024? Are you planning? I know that you touch a little bit, but do you want to expand? What are the plans for the next half of the year?
Yeah, sure. For the next half of the year, we are we're targeting some key milestones, like as mentioned just now about stable swap, and yeah, it will be incorporated with our smart DEX program to to help users swap more easily with expecting lower impact prices. So, and another one, as I mentioned, is an automatic launchpad system, to empower new DeFi projects. So we're expecting to open it soon to the vast audience. And besides, we also launching more side products. As some of you know, we got zk Flow, heat map, and so on. Similar to that, to provide user with a better all-in-one experience on our D app. And last but not least, we'll continuous improvement of our UI, UX, and the overall performance of the platform. Yeah, that's what our goal is in for the half of the year. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Lucas. Brian, do you have anything to add, or you covered everything on the previous answer?
I think I covered the key points. We have a whole host of other things that will be following that in terms of incremental improvements on our platform, as well as a major release, our version 3 release. But I won't go into a lot of detail on that at the moment. It, again, is designed to best differentiate in the market, add these capabilities to enable a whole set of new use cases that aren't well serviced, particularly for exotic asset holders such as LP token holders and ERC 4626 yield-bearing asset holders. And we're quite excited about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've mentioned enough.
Yes, that's true. And guys, keep tuned on our channels because we have a lot new material to send and to tell about these upcoming new features that we are going to deliver on Fringe. So we are reaching the end of our conversation here. And I want to ask Lucas if you have any final words, something to say about the airdrop, or just a close message.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me today. So as well, yeah. Thank you to everyone who's joined to this today AMA. So we at zkSync Finance are pretty excited about the futures of DeFi on zkSync era. So our innovative features and commitment to security set us apart, and we look forward to continuing to grow to grow zkSwap Finance and our meme project Long. Yeah, as you are aware, we have another project called Long. So we want to both growing both projects to stronger with your support. So be sure to follow our updates and join both zkSwap Finance and Long community for more exciting developments and exclusive airdrops and giveaways, as always. So happy trading and earning, everyone. Yeah, that's all for my side.
That's great, Lucas. Yeah, I really like the look of the way your product hangs together there, especially with the stable swaps and um, the way it's presented on your user interface there. It's really good. And we look forward to working with you guys, especially with our new use cases that support LP token holders. So we'll talk to your team a little bit further about that. But in terms of Fringe, we've got some really great stuff coming up. We're developing quite a number of partnerships at the moment that leverage the kind of exotic asset project relationships that we need to really get the word out there. So I think for Fringe, we're quite excited. There's been a lot of work building the core aspects of our product and previously getting our earlier version of the product to market. But now with version 2 and version 2.5 and version 3 of our product, we're very excited, and we are really doing everything we can from the technology side to push the envelope as far as possible to add, for example, these new price controls to protect against Oracle price manipulation and support a greater range of assets. We think these are the key things that will help push DeFi forward. And that's a little bit of our story. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Lucas, for sharing your insights. And that was an amazing discussion about zkSync and about what our protocols will deliver on the next few months. To our audience, thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for more updates and discussion on our upcoming Twitter space. And of course, we are going to release this on our YouTube channel. And if you want to know more about Fringe, please follow us on Twitter and also join our Telegram channel. So, with that, goodbye, everyone, and have a nice day.
See you, everyone. Cheers.
Yeah. Yeah.